Toronto Blue Jays have found their secret weapon, and while spring training has been exciting thus far, with the regular season just around the corner, a new report has dropped from Ben Nicholson Smith revealing a pitcher that has not only gone under the radar for many fans and the media, but the Jays, according to this report, have an eye on this player making an impact going forward. We're going to break down exactly who this is and discuss what it means. But not only that, we have some huge updates, including a Trey Savage update as his health remains a priority for this team, and a very interesting update in that regard, how they're going to use him. But also one other thing you're going to want to stay tuned for till the very end of the video, including Andres Jimenez showing off his glove at the World Baseball Classic at shortstop ahead of what's going to be his first year playing shortstop in a very long time in the MLB full-time, and the first time with the Jays doing so since, of course, the World Series and the playoffs. But before we get into it, a quick reminder, folks, hit that subscribe button. You guys have been an absolute beast with the support. Now, folks, Ben Nicholson Smith dropped an article very recently, just a couple days ago, and it's about Bugs Bunny changeup putting Nate Garo on the Blue Jays radar. Now, this is a guy that many fans, I hadn't really heard about him too much prior to making and researching this video. This is someone that when there's an article dropped from a guy like Ben Nicholson Smith, it makes you open your eyes a little bit. Now, I'm going to dive into a lot about him because I'm sure a lot of you guys might know him. Some of you guys might not. But as recently as a couple years ago, he was working 3 jobs, was a substitute teacher. He's 5'10". Then all of a sudden, the Jays were able to sign him, and he's 28 years old. But he has a fastball changeup combo that you can see at the bottom there, has him very much on the radar of big league decision makers as a candidate to be called up mid-season. So this is very intriguing. And you can see here from Garco, it looks like a heater coming out and it dies. To this day, they haven't really done too much damage to it. So this is a guy, Nate Garco, who, again, one of those players, one of those guys who just hadn't really been able to stick around on any MLB team. Before we dive into the rest of the article, I'll dive into his stats here. He's been around since, of course, 2019, his age 21 season. He was pretty good in college at times, though ultimately finished with a pretty inflated ERA. But over the past couple years, has started to figure things out. In 2024, between a few teams and 15 games, a 1.88 ERA. With New Hampshire AA last year, he played 29 games with a 1.22 ERA. And that is very, very good. And a lot of that is due to his new, I'm pretty sure new, changeup that has just dominated hitters, right? Absolutely dominated hitters. You can see at the bottom, although velocity drives pitchers up prospect rankings and draft board, look no further than, of course, the Jays recently with Tyler Rogers. They love to invest in guys who don't always throw insanely fast. Now, this is critical here. I throw as hard as I can. This is from, Rogers, but Rogers could work with Garco now and then kind of work together to actually develop Nate Garco into a very interesting, pitcher. And we know how good Tyler Rogers is. You could instantly have a mentor. You pair that with, of course, Pete Walker. It's insane. Now, Keys came out recently, one of the Jays prospects who's been mashing in spring training, and spoke about what it's like seeing his changeup. It was hard to hit even when he knew it was kind of coming, and he's gotten closer to the big leagues. His off seasons have changed, and now he's no longer working 3 jobs, but he's going for the big. So, folks, this is an exciting one, and keep an eye out for him. He has an insane changeup, and these are the type of players that fly under the radar. He's 28 years old now, but last year in Double-A and between both leagues put up a 3.19 ERA, struggled in Vancouver, but a 1.22 ERA since, of course, adding that elite changeup. So wanted to highlight him today because he could have an impact as soon as this season. And if they want to get funky with it, we know their bullpen is wide open, right? We always talk about it on the channel if you're, if you're a loyal viewer, but outside of the top 3 or 4, they got really tons of spots open. Hoffman, Garcia, who's going to be out to start the year, Tyler Rogers, and Louis Verland. And, Hoffman looked really good yesterday, throwing 97. I believe it was yesterday. You have, of course, now, if you could, Nate Garco, there's options for him. Like Tommy Nance is a guy who doesn't throw velocity. He got a ton of work last year. It's wide open. And Yair Rodriguez, for example, is he going to be able to get a chance? He dominated yesterday. I wanted to give a shout out to him. And also, of course, it's a very cool story. So let me know down below. Definitely a secret weapon, both the pitch itself and the changeup, but also him as a player, him as an individual. And congratulations to be able to, no longer work 3 jobs. You can focus on your baseball career and making money there. It is an exciting one to see players like this. And to be quite frank, for a report like this, a drop from Ben Nicholson Smith, or an article rather, is pretty exciting. And all of a sudden now, They have a guy who's positioned to get called up soon, right? This isn't someone they're going to have in the bigs or in the minor leagues forever. He's 28 years old. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. But moving on a little bit, let's quickly touch on Yariel, who pitched yesterday. He retired all seven batters he faced, for Team Cuba in the WBC. 3 via strikeout across 2.5, clean innings for Team Cuba. Fastball played up compared to his time in the Blue Jays camp earlier this spring, topping out at almost 97 miles an hour. Now, this is relevant for a few different reasons. Guys are kind of trying out here, especially guys like Yariel Rodriguez, who obviously is under contract. He got DFA'd and then cleared. This is an interesting one because the Jays have so many options at relievers, as relief options rather, but also in the WBC. I mean, we're going to be seeing Andres Jimenez play. We already did. We're going to be seeing Eloy Jimenez, seeing what he can do. He's off to a decent start. And at the end of the day here, they have an opportunity to, a lot of these guys, to break camp with the Jays. Now, of course, Yariel Rodriguez had a pretty bad year last year. It was good for a while and bad for stretches. The Jays wanted to, of course, DFA him, try to shed his money, all these different things, right? At the end of the day here, he's projected to get 6% of the time as a relief pitcher. The Jays have the bullpen spots open. Like, is Tommy Nance going to return and actually make an impact? Is Brendan Little, who's looked really good, going to continue to do that? It's good, though. It's good to see that Yariel continued to make progress. And, I mean, it's best for everyone, right? If he comes out and he's a valuable, fifth or sixth inning guy, and then someone who can also pitch out of the pen in bulk innings. So that's pretty exciting, as is this new update surrounding Trey Yesavage. Now, his next spring outing could be another live BP. There is no immediate plans to get him into a game. Asked about his role, John Schneider said, "We still view him as a starter, just maybe abbreviated to start the season, like 3 or 4 innings versus 5 or 6. Not super encouraging. It's not an injury thing. They made that very clear, but they are being extra cautious with Trey Yesavage following the amount of innings he pitched last year. And obviously he flew up through single A, low A all the way to the World Series Game 6. It is going to, I think at this juncture, I'm fine with it. I mean, the fact that you had to clarify that we still view him as a starter, like, obviously, right? Like, he was one of the best starters in his very brief tenure last year. One of the best rookie performances we've ever seen in the history of baseball, right? Just with from start to finish. I mean, rookie stories. I don't love this, but at the same time, I am fine with the Jays playing the long game here more than anything. And that's what they need to do with Trey Yesavage, right? I'm fine with 3 to 4 innings. I just would hope to see him at some point during spring training, just to kind of, get that fixed. But do what's best for Trey, because at the end of the day here, you're going to need him going forward. And by going forward, I mean not just next season, beyond that, right? He's going to be the pitcher of the future for the next decade for this team. And if he has to miss, the first half of the season, or miss half the innings, for the first half of the season, pitching 3 or 4 instead of 5 or 6, it is what it is. I think we can all kind of be happy with that. And also, surrounding a move is that in the past, pre-arb players like Bo and Manoah have had contracts renewed, a way for players who indicate disagreement. With Trey Yesavage, he's expected to agree with the Jays on pre-arb salary for 2026. This is a pretty encouraging thing as well. Jays making a pretty interesting move here. They're going to be agreeing on a pre-arb salary for Trey Yesavage, which is also a good piece of information there. So, a lot of things going on, folks. WBC is underway. I mean, spring training. I want baseball to start back up. The MLB season, of course, we are.
The quiet corners of spring training often whisper the loudest secrets, and today, one such secret is beginning to echo through the corridors of the Toronto Blue Jays organization. While most eyes have been locked onto the usual stars polishing their swings beneath the Florida sun, a lesser-known name has quietly slipped onto the radar. And here on the Bluejays Report, we're diving into the story of a pitcher whose journey feels almost like a baseball fairytale waiting to be told. Before we uncover this intriguing discovery, make sure you hit that like button, share the video with fellow fans, and subscribe to the Bluejays Report so you never miss the latest updates surrounding the Blue Jays. Trust me, today's story is one you'll want to remember. According to respected insider Ben Nicholson-Smith, the Blue Jays may have stumbled upon a hidden gem in the form of pitcher Nate Garo. Now, this isn't the kind of player who storms into headlines with blazing 100-mile-per-hour fastballs. Instead, Garo carries something far more mischievous, a changeup so deceptive it almost feels like it belongs in a cartoon. Some have jokingly called it a Bugs Bunny changeup, because it looks like a fastball charging toward the plate, only to suddenly lose its courage and tumble helplessly past bewildered hitters. What makes the story even more compelling is Garo's path to this moment. Not long ago, the 28-year-old wasn't living the glamorous life of a professional athlete. He was juggling 3 different jobs, including working as a substitute teacher, while chasing a dream that often seemed determined to stay just out of reach. Yet baseball, like a patient storyteller, sometimes saves its best twists for the final chapters. Statistically, the transformation has been remarkable. Across recent seasons in AA, Garo has delivered microscopic errors and baffled hitters with that wicked changeup, turning skepticism into curiosity among decision-makers inside the Blue Jays front office. Suddenly, the once-overlooked pitcher is being whispered about as a potential mid-season call-up. Of course, the Blue Jays pitching picture remains wide open, which only fuels the intrigue. With veterans like Tyler Rogers providing experience and pitching coach Pete Walker guiding development, Garo could find himself learning in the perfect environment. In baseball, sometimes the most dangerous weapon isn't the loudest one, it's the one nobody saw coming. Meanwhile, there's excitement brewing elsewhere too. During the electrifying atmosphere of the World Baseball Classic, infielder Andres Gimenez has been flashing elite defensive instincts at shortstop, giving fans a tantalizing glimpse of what could be ahead this season. Gloves snapping, balls rocketing across the diamond. It's the kind of theater that reminds us why we love this game. And as the regular season edges closer, anticipation is building like a stadium crowd rising to its feet in the ninth inning. Hidden talents are emerging, storylines are colliding, and the Blue Jays may just have discovered a secret weapon when they needed one most. If you enjoyed this breakdown, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Bluejays Report. Because in baseball, the next great story might already be warming up in the bullpen.